So, hello to Jenny Morgan, and of course anyone who is lurking in the chat and or watching in the future. So, if any of you want to be salty about this stream, you have Bree to blame for this.
Yeah, I think I drug these people. I started dragging them on Twitter.
Yeah,
because this is insane. And I couldn't just leave it be. I had I found a whole nest of them. And these people are serious. They want to how do they say it? Herbivorize the predators.
Yeah.
Like across the board, turn everything to plant eaters, like before the flood, or no, before the flood, or before the
fall.
Yeah.
Or, also, post Armageddon.
Yeah. But the lion lays down with the lamb and all that good stuff, of course.
Like how I pointed out while we were, poking at them over the week or so that they were kicking up a fuss in our replies. I didn't get any replies to this one. I said, here's the most realistic way to achieve your goal. 1, become a Christian. 2, vote in Trump to start the apocalypse. 3, hope the biblical literalists are right about the end of the world. But anyways, Bree introduced me to the fact that a group of vegans that like to call themselves predation abolitionists are a thing. And I mean, even that term is kind of yikesy as fuck.
Yeah, there's undertones of genocide.
They don't seem to understand that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because what else, what term is most, synonymous, or what do you think of when you hear the word abolitionist?
Right. Yeah, it's to do away with, to terminate them, which they would have to do. Which I tried over and over to explain. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was more talking historically. Usually when someone says abolitionist or abolitionism, it's usually in reference to the institution of slavery.
That kind of makes sense from some of the stuff I was hearing from him.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the crocodile tweet. I don't know if we saved that or not, but
I do have the since
there we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's important to note that, of course, this doesn't apply to all vegans.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is a fairly small group.
Yeah. It's like a fringe of a fringe.
Yeah, but before we fully get into this, I have nothing against vegans. In fact, my brother is what he likes to call likes to refer to himself as a thrift store vegan, where basically his entire thing is he doesn't want to support industries that diminish animal welfare. So basically
the factory farms.
Yeah. Basically, he doesn't want his money going to like factory farms. So for instance, if he sees a leather jacket in a thrift store, he's okay with purchasing it and wearing it because the money, his money isn't going to support the industry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I don't know who all is watching this and how well they know me, but I love crocodilians, like all of them, so much. I talk about them all. I tweet about them all the time. I share Gator Daily stuff. Like whenever I see it, I retweet it. I'm a crocodile girl. I just love them to death.
So you're a big fan of Flat Fuck Friday then?
Yes, I am. And today was Flat Fuck Friday too. So I did. Did I retweet that one? I think I did. Anyway, but these people want. I mean, the dude, this Nick guy, the Nutravore, that triggered Bree.
Yeah,
he's like, this monster has no room on my planet, or has no place on my planet. I'm like,
Oh, I have a quote from him. I could read in a little bit.
Yeah.
Though I will say, pretty much the vast majority of the tweets that I have prepared are from the herbivorized predators account, because it was literally just easiest to, like, once I ran across that account, it was literally easiest to just like scroll down. It was like, "Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one." And they did they did retweet a few of the other more interesting takes.
Yeah, and I don't know if you tagged them in the stream description or not, but when I replay this on my channel, I'm adding them with this, so
yeah, feel free to. For one thing, you can't tag when you type out the description in StreamYards.
Yeah,
it's a YouTube only thing. So,
well, given the nature of this topic, I'm usually drinking on Fridays, so I got half a bottle of rum next to me.
Yeah. So let's get into this. So we're gonna open up with, one of the tweets that actually started this whole rabbit hole that Bree dragged us into, and then I was like, "Hey, we got to do a stream about this." and like do a stream where we're just kind of like debunking their talking points. So used to watch documentaries and wonder how the film crew can just stand there and let the gazelle get violently eaten by the crocodile. Respect to the vegans that have initiated discourse that this should be prevented.
It's so odd to me because they draw the line. They draw the line in such a weird place because they're talking about I guess with it'd be nerve endings. I don't know, enough to, it has to be able to suffer.
Well, yeah. Well, that's me playing devil's advocate. And a few of the other like tweets that were, because they do like to use the term sentient a lot.
Use what term?
Sentient.
Oh yeah.
I kind of wonder what they mean by that.
Yeah. So that does imply that, and a lot of their justification is ending suffering. So like it does logically follow that if it doesn't have the capacity to suffer, they wouldn't
oppose it being eaten. Yeah.
Yeah. Because who's talking, they're saying herbivorize predators. Well, what about the plants? Because we know that grass can actually detect that it's being eaten and signal to other blades of grass, and then
Yep.
Yeah.
that's what
not just grass, too. There's
Yeah.
number of plants that do that.
Holly trees, yeah, like if you have deer in the area, the bottom leaves will have holly trees will be the spiky ones, and the ones up high will still be rounded. Because if they start responding, that's how they respond to being eaten. So plants,
and not even not even just other plants, because like acacia tree, I know acacia trees are an example, and I think there are a few others, but like acacia trees that have ant colonies living inside them will be able to signal to the ant colony when their leaves are being disturbed and cut, and the ants will go and protect the tree.
A symbiosis.
Yeah. So there is a question that can be asked about, should plants actually be included in the under the sentient umbrella? Like where do we draw this line?
I mean, if you really get down to the actual definition, it's basically just awareness.
Yeah.
What sentience is. Usually that gets conflated in sci-fi to mean sapience, but
oh yeah.
But I do like Jenny's answer. It's easy to get shots like that. Scout location, haul your gear there, get prepped, sit down, wait for a day or two.
Yeah, and hopefully you're not in the gazelle's place when it happens, but
yeah.
That's I believe this is from looking at it, looks like it's a Nile crocodile.
Probably, considering that it's munching on a Thompson's gazelle.
Yeah.
I think the Nile crocodile is the only crocodilian that has its habitat overlap.
Well, there's a few. The Nile crocodiles were recently. There was a what was originally thought to be a subspecies, like the desert crocodile. They used to think it was a subspecies of Nile crocodile, but they found out it's its own unique species that's closer related to the American crocodile than it is the Nile crocodile.
So there are actually at least a couple crocodile species in Africa then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And we got you got to look at the scoots and stuff to try to be sure, but this one's angled, so it's the scoots on the back of its neck aren't even facing us, so you can't see if they're doubled up or not. I don't think the only thing it would help me discern is if it was a salty or not, and that's not. There's no way it's a salty.
Oh yeah, they're like. Unless it like escaped from a zoo or something, there's no way there's a salty in that picture. It's a salty in that picture.
Yeah, and there's seems to be another one coming up in the background here, and it's definitely looking like a Nile croc to me.
Yeah,
probably at a migration at a crossing where these guys are migrating.
And Purple says, I can understand people not wanting to continue farming of animals, although that does get into questions of how we would feed all the people.
I would be in favor of being more humane with our food.
Yeah.
Eat the bugs.
There you go, eat the bugs.
my more largely my issue is
I said eat the bugs, Ring.
well, yeah, but that doesn't answer the question about yes, when we do reduce our consumption of animals, doesn't answer the question of what do we do with all the animals in the factory farms now.
That's a good question.
It's something that would have to be phased out over time.
Some of them are some of factory farms. The animals aren't even physically they can't. Like you couldn't release some of those chickens into a yard and they'd be fine.
Actually, speaking about chickens, and that's actually a good point to make is the chickens that we eat for meat are actually bred in a way that if we didn't cull them and turn them into food, they would actually suffer.
Yeah.
Because they do genetically modify them so that they get really they keep growing and getting fatter and fatter.
Well, it's not just the genetic modification.
Yeah.
It's how we've bred them over the years too.
Yeah, before we even knew what we were doing, it's still genetically modifying them. We're just doing it the old-fashioned way.
That actually kind of gets into a good point because that's actually their argument that and how to herbivorize these predators and all that is that we should use essentially that method to turn them into herbivores. And also when asked, okay, what do we do with all the herbivores that exist that would just overpopulate? Well, we should figure out some way of genetically modifying them so they don't breed as quickly. Is basically what they told me, if I remember correctly.
Which is like, I hate to keep bringing it back to this, but this is like eugenics talk. I know eugenics is specific to humans, but it's the same concept, but with predators being the undesirables. We have to limit their reproduction, and we have to keep their populations under control and control which ones can reproduce with which ones. And it'd be really problematic on so many levels. And there's things like, you're not going to herbivorize a crocodile or a great white shark. You're just not.
Oh, the shark. That's another one I was looking at. Shark babies will eat other babies in the womb. This is a natural part of how their reproduction.
Now here's the question though. Are these predation abolitionists pro-choice or pro-life? Because there is a question. There would be a question as to whether a shark fetus actually counts as a shark.
But like they'll accuse us now of making the naturalistic fallacy, right? Oh, since it's natural, it's good. And no one on this panel is saying that. What we're saying is that you're claiming that the synthetic fallacy that humans that whatever we do will be better than what happens naturally. And that's not true either. Right?
Yeah, basically the
call it a synthetic fallacy, I guess.
Yeah, or a good way of putting it.
Basically, what these people have these people are basically said humans are uniquely equipped to arbitrarily decide on what the absolute morality for all life in the cosmos is.
Like we're the arbiter of what is moral based on our human morality and our human perception of what is suffering within a population.
But I think we can continue on to the next slide.
Yeah, let's go.
And I think this. Yep. So remember how? Well, so one of the refrains that kept coming up when we were involved in this like three-way dunking was who said anything about making predators go extinct?
Oh, that's really that's actually gets into the quote from Nick from his live stream.
So so here we have herbivorized predators tweeting.
Now, so the claim is obviously here is that even though we've genetically altered these organisms, they're still the same organisms. So they're not extinct, which is not true.
No.
If you change the biology, the physiology of a tiger, it's not going to be a tiger anymore. Tigers will be gone, and you'll have these herbivorous tiger descendants, genetically more like a pug as a wolf in the same vein.
Well, I use the ensign wasp as an example. If you were to take away its predatory nature.
Yeah, well, and also there's the fact that if you say you herbivorize all the tigers, or rather you catch all the tigers, put them in captivity, and then herbivorize their descendants and release those descendants back in the wild, tigers haven't been evolving for millions and millions of years to eat plants. What they eat has been evolving for millions and millions of years to eat plants. Something's going to get out competed and starve to death anyways.
Yeah. Good point.
Oh, Jenny, this is going to come up. Like, this is going to come up.
Oh yeah, trophic cascades come up, and they're like, what even is science, really?
Oh yeah. Again, that actually gets back to the quote I've been looking at from Nick.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and ahead and read it.
The question, the point person was making that he was talking to on the live stream is, you have to think of the entire ecosystem as a whole. And Nick says, yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. Actually, it was after talking about, which is why I think at the end of the day, I advocate for displacing nature incrementally into non-existence. I think there are certain things in nature we can retain, like plants and trees and stuff like that. I don't think it matters if those stay or go, provided they aren't instrumental into some aspect of human flourishing.
So is Nick like is human flourishing? Is that his ultimate measure of success?
I guess in terms of what nature provides.
Well, they want to. I've watched some of Nick's stuff where he talked about wanting to pave over nature too.
Yeah, that's what that was from.
Yeah, it's like, and that's pretty gross. I mean, again, it's just wiping out everything and replacing it with synthetic human-made. They wouldn't be the actual species anymore. They would be whatever. There'd be the name of the species and then X, and then whatever modifications they made to it, they'd have to put those in if they replaced it with genes to make it grow herbivorous teeth, for instance. They'd have to put X, whatever artiodactyl or wherever they got those genes from. And we can't forget, like I was saying backstage before we got started, that there's no artiodactyl or perseodactyl. Those are hooved animals, cervids, which are deer, ovids and caprids, goats and sheep, bovids, which are cows and bison, and then camelids, suids, pigs and camels,
rodents,
giraffids,
rodents.
All of them, rodents. All of them will, when given, primates too. All of them will, if given the opportunity, take animal protein in, whether insects all the way up to lizards and and snakes and birds. Cows will eat birds. Deer will eat birds. I've got a list of videos right here in front of me of different herbivores eating meat. There's a really wicked one of a deer eating a snake, but the idea that we can herbivorize the carnivores that exist when we can't even herbivorize the herbivores that exist, because they will opportunistically consume protein from other animals.
Hell, we can't even herbivorize ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually something I was looking at earlier, where some humans actually can't do very well on a vegan diet. It has to do with a genetic factor. There's not just the cost of it. You have maybe issues with vitamin A conversion and gut microbiomes, amylase levels. I mean, there's a number of reasons why some people
if you're anemic, you cannot go off red meat.
Yeah, there's another,
because the iron.
Yeah.
And
in fact, I think that happened to one of my cousins.
There's taurine that you need, but you can supplement taurine to some extent. But yeah, of course, then there's people that can't eat red meat because they got bit by a Lone Star tick.
Yeah.
Those people exist as well.
Yeah.
It's a diverse ecosystem that we live in.
Yeah, so it would really suck if you were anemic and then got bit by a Lone Star tick.
Oh,
I think that would just be a very slow, painful death.
Yeah, one way or the other. Choose or pick your poison. You do or you don't, you're damned.
Yeah.
Uh,
If you don't share the anti-predation view, what's your strongest argument for keeping predation around?
Population control of prey species, which could denude the landscape of resources if they overpopulate.
Basically, a complete collapse of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that would be harmful not only to the animals living in that ecosystem, but it would be harmful to humans.
Yeah. Or I can do it in two. I can do it in 2 words, though I'm going to do it in 3 to be, to strain the point. Basic fucking ecology.
Yeah. I do 2 words. Trophic cascade.
Yeah.
And some predators are impressive. I like, look at this one that they're showing here. Yeah.
Yeah, the peregrine falcon.
Eating a pretty green, it's a parrot of some kind.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. I've got a very cuddly predator right under my feet right now.
Maybe
I think it's a parakeet, because that's
or perhaps a lorikeet.
Yeah. But regardless, it's a parrot being eaten by a falcon. Which, if you didn't know this, falcons they're not part of the birds of prey family. They're not with eagles and hawks and anything like that. No. Falcons are their closest relatives are actually what it's eating there. Parrots. They are high speed assault parrots. I'm not even kidding.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's their close relatives. And so people thinking that a hawk or a falcon are interchangeable, or that they are related closely to each other. They're really not. It's convergent for falcons, it's really about hunting other birds. They're really good at that.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't really exactly say it's convergent, because hawks and falcons kill in different ways. They
have different prey items too. That's why they can coexist in an ecosystem. But the body style or the body plan and stuff.
You can probably, but because falcons actually have a lot weaker talon grip.
Yeah, they're glass cannons, basically.
Oh, okay. That's a ring neck, by the way. He's got it.
Ah.
Ah.
I knew it was going to come to me.
But
and we will be able to elaborate more on the whole basic ecology when we get further, because this point is going to keep coming up.
Yeah.
Or there are tweets that are like going to complain about basic ecology that are going to come up. Human predators are natural, but this fact shouldn't discourage us from trying to dictate that they shouldn't harm the young and vulnerable. Biotech makes this principle generalizable to the whole biosphere, not just one race or species.
Huh?
Oh, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah, this is a take.
Let's see, but this fact should not discourage us from trying to dictate that they shouldn't harm the young and vulnerable.
he's literally comparing carnivorous animals to what Cersei's community likes to say, or likes to use the term PDF files.
Yeah.
As a YouTube friendly alternative.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say that that predation of the young and vulnerable is what keeps the ecology in balance, like we talked about before. That keeps them from over, because those are the culling the population when they're young, which is what a lot of, or when they're sick or when they're old and feeble. Culling those individuals from the population helps to maintain the balance of the plant life as well. So you're not just protecting the herbivores when you allow this predation to happen naturally. You're also protecting the plant life, which is linked into the the fungus and everything else in the environment. It's all linked together.
Which also increases the habitat for the smaller herbivores, because if there's more foliage around, then there's more foliage to nest in.
And to get back to one of our previous examples, those rodents or squirrels, if they don't have enough food, or if the litter they have is sick, they will eat that litter, or to bring back to get that protein and nutrients back into themselves, so they can go out and actually have healthy babies.
Yeah.
And squirrels are another one that'll just jump on and eat like a chipmunk or a baby bird if they get a chance to. So
yeah, and or like, for instance, I'll put a pin in Yellowstone because it's going to come up later.
Okay.
We should hate blind nature in all forms. A better life is visible should we only act. I'm neutral on the herbivorization thing, but this appeal to nature as a perfect moment and not a self-modifying whole is silly. If we remove predators, that is nature still. Just cited one. So I think that's a quote. I think maybe he's like quoting a user called Just Cited One or something.
We have seen what happens when you extirpate the predators from a biome, right? we've Europeans spent, when we first got to North America, also the British Isles, those places were extirpated of their large predators over the last 1,000 years or so, and the eastern United States followed in suit, right? And we've seen the results of that. We have to we have to cull back the deer population artificially, for instance. Invasive species move in. In the eastern United States, coyotes moved in when we extirpated the wolves, for instance. And in the UK, there was no coyotes to take over, so red foxes have like doubled in size since the wolves were extirpated in the 1700s. The red foxes in the UK are now the biggest in the world because they're trying to fill that ecological niche of apex predator. They're the only thing that can, so that's where they're moving towards. Pretty wild.
Well, and in the western, like even in the western U.S., like Montana's first attempt at conservation was to get rid of the predators, to conserve the game animals. And then we realize, oh, this isn't working. This is making things worse. So that's an example of what it's like, we literally tried this before, and then we realize, no, this just makes things worse.
Yeah, it'd be mind-boggling if we did this with every predator. Or another examples with farming. We tried to get rid of we try and get rid of all the insects altogether, and that causes all sorts of problems with insects eating up our crops, and we end up having to just use more and more chemicals to keep everything under control. Just imagine if we herbivorized our predatory insects. Now they're eating the plants along with the stuff that's already eating our plants.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't know where these guys fall on insects. I don't know if anybody ever got them.
Well, some of them did say, yeah, even insects count. Because I brought up the Venus flytrap. Like, well, should we herbivorize predatory plants? Yeah, it's okay. Well, how the heck would you do that with like a Venus flytrap? Because it can't survive in its natural environment, and because it developed that trait due to living in low nitrogen and phosphorus levels. It makes up that by eating insects.
And it also, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the plant guy. But if you fertilize a Venus flytrap, it will die.
Yeah, in fact, you have to be careful about what kind of water you use when you're watering it.
Yeah, you don't give it any minerals or anything. They don't respond well to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or another example is, I'll put a pin in that, because like I said, it'll come up. So, sentient beings from pigs to humans to caribou deserve rights. Ecosystems don't have rights because they are not subjects of experience. So ecosystems don't have interests. They matter only insofar as they impact the lives of sentient beings.
So the sentient beings are part of the ecosystem. They're like that's just, the ecosystem is actually made up of I guess sentient and non-sentient beings. I don't, again, they draw their arbitrary line here. I don't know if because insects counting is really bizarre to me, that they would.
So I'm wondering if Mr. David Pierce believes in corporate personhood.
Yeah, I would,
because corporations are not subjects of experience. They're just made up of the people who work for them.
And basically what they would be advocating is a collapse of ecosystems. How does that not impact the lives of sentient beings by this standard?
Just makes this more strenuous and long suffering decline, as opposed to some getting to a quick painful death to keep things in balance. All of them will slowly get diseased and starved, and which, look at the history of domestic animals in general. When we create a population and when we get too many of them together, they start communal diseases start to become a problem. Inbreeding and genetic drift start to alter things.
Well, I mean, heck, like the reason that we basically managed to like wipe out all the Native Americans with all of our diseases when we started colonizing the New World was because we had domesticated animals. So in those environments led to a lot of transfer of zoonotic diseases, which tend to hit the human body harder until until it's acclimated. It's why there wasn't, really in America pox, with the exception of syphilis.
I'm still not sure about where they're drawing the line for sentience.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing.
It's blurry. So if one of them wants to respond, like in the comments below, if you're a herbivorize the predators person, explain to us where the line's drawn. Is it something specific to the nervous system, or do you all believe in like duality and that there's a soul or something that's attached to it? Please let us know.
And like I said, as far as I'm aware, sentience is basically just being awareness of your environment, which can go down to even single-celled organisms.
Yeah. So here's basically a halfway through palate cleanser. Just appreciate the results of that poll. So, herbivorous predators tweeted a poll: do wild animals have a right to a predator-free environment? 76% of the 353 respondents said no.
Proof that this is a very small minority of a minority.
Yeah.
It's because it requires the rejection of some of our favorite animals, right? Cats and dogs are both predators.
And cats obligate carnivores.
Obligate predators. People. So someone has to reject the notion of having a cat if they want to support this movement.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this particular movement sits, but I have seen some vegans argue against having pets.
Yeah.
So
I think it probably varies from proponent to proponent, because as far as I'm aware, having pets is like a very contentious big controversy in the vegan community, because there's some that say, yeah, it's okay to have, pets as long as you're, giving them, the best life that you can. And, some that's like, no, all pets, owning another sentient being as animal cruelty. And then they're like,
so where do they stand on symbiosis then? Because our relationship with dogs is symbiotic. It's not, it wasn't even predatory. It's symbiotic.
And then there's like those really crazy vegans that will have a pet cat and try to make it vegan.
Those.
So,
which is animal cruelty at the base. You're starving an organism of the nutrients that its body's evolved to absorb. You're not allowing it to have those. The only reason I believe that cats even will ever consume any plant matter is to purge their system, right? They're trying to push something out of their body that's making them feel icky. So,
or if they, I mean, there is one plant that they will kind of ingest, but mostly it's sniffing and rolling around in it.
Catnip, yeah.
They do eat grass.
Yeah. But I don't think the grass is. I don't know if they're eating the grass for nutritional purposes.
No, it's not for nutritional purposes.
Yeah. Dogs will eat plant matter for nutritional purposes. But
Purple says, I took in feral cats. They were always able to come and go as they pleased. They all decided staying where they were sheltered from predators and storms and had unlimited food was a better way to live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cats that's domesticated themselves like twice.
Yep.
And why not? The cats have mastered the way to be domesticated, like be cute and indifferent, and people will love you. Of course, some people hate cats. There's actually a lot of people that just hate cats so much.
Yeah,
it's always bizarre to me.
Okay, here we go. Here's eradicating keystone predators. There it is again. Do you all have so little imagination that you cannot imagine a better world that isn't built on mass death? So
everything's going to die. I hate to make it. Oh, go ahead.
So here's where I'm going to take out one of my pins, because there's this really interesting thing that happened by accident in the Pacific Northwest, where we accidentally, through overharvesting, almost wiped out sea otters. And because the sea otters were, so rare, sea urchins began to proliferate. And sea urchins really, really, really like to eat kelp. So, as the sea urchins proliferated throughout the historic range of the sea otter, the kelp forests began to disappear. And they've only really started to recover after we managed to get sea otter numbers back up to where, or to where they're recovering, to a reasonable number. This is where we get this is actually the case where we get the term keystone species, is studying the phenomenon where the disappearance of the sea otter led to the complete eradication of a habitat.
And kelp is a carbon sink like no other, so it's important to have copious amounts of kelp putting out oxygen and absorbing carbon, and we need them. So letting the sea urchins eradicate them because we wanted sea otter pelts was
So what their answer is, genetically modify the sea urchins so they don't reproduce as quickly.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah,
all of them.
Go to swim down there and start neutering sea urchins.
Yeah.
That's the humane thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
so we're going to get into Yellowstone. So this is a quote tweet of Tom DeSiren saying, the ecological impact of wolf reintroduction to Britain, a wolf ecologist's view thread. how about discuss it from the prey point of view, since they're the most impacted? So I don't know about wolf reintroduction into Britain because I haven't looked into it, but I'm from Montana. So I am intimately familiar, as Bree knows, with the case of wolf reintroduction to Yellowstone. So when we started reintroducing wolves back into Yellowstone, the elk and primarily the elk weren't able to stay in one place as long and completely graze it dry before moving on. And because of this, aspen and beech and willow trees were actually able to grow quicker and stronger, which actually led to beavers coming in. And beavers obsessively make dams and running water, which led to an increase in wetland habitat, which led to an increase in other species that need wetlands to survive in the Yellowstone
waterfowl
Basin.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not something you're going to be able to fix by just reducing how they reproduce.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they need to have their numbers go in waves too. There's like the just cut in real quick, just about the lynx and the hare, right?
Oh yeah. That's the primary example of the predator prey population dynamic
balance,
phenomenon.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That their populations control each other, and we've studied it, and you'll see the zigzag lines going up and down with each other as the rabbits, the hares, the snowshoe hares reproduce in the spring and have all their babies, and the population skyrockets, and the lynx population skyrockets, and it's yeah.
Now
anyway, back to Yellowstone.
Yeah, well, I kind of said my piece about Yellowstone is because there is a study. We have the data to show that reintroducing predators into an ecosystem that is that has been missing them for decades causes the entire ecosystem to rebound and flourish. But I know Mage made a point about a study with deer and fences, and did you want to elaborate on that?
I don't even remember it now.
Oh yeah, like you mentioned, like there was a study where they had this area that was of wilderness that was fenced off from deer, and then this other area that deer had access to. And the area that deer had access to like only had like the kind of plants like that deer wouldn't eat, and like the area that the deer didn't have access to was like practically a jungle of floral biodiversity.
Oh yeah, okay, no, I remember that. Yeah.
It's keeping things in balance. Mm-hmm.
Or to quote the philosopher, the well-known philosopher, well-known natural philosopher Mufasa, everything goes together in a delicate balance.
That was not bad.
Yeah, I can do a pretty decent James Earl Jones.
Yeah, I did not know that. That was a surprise.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of decent at quite a few different voices. But
so before you move on from this slide, I just wanted to say because I mentioned the foxes in Britain before, but foxes weren't the only thing wiped out. Britain used to have so the wolves were wiped out the 1700s, maybe 1600s. I think it was the 1700s though. But they were wiped out in Ireland earlier than that, like a full 1,000 years earlier. But lynx were also endemic to the island, and bears. There were native bears to Great Britain. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
However, the large ungulates that they were feeding on have also vanished. Winzits and even moose, what they call elk over there, of course, have vanished pretty well from the biome, especially in the south. Scotland retains some of its natural resources, including the Scottish tiger, which is a very rare species of wildcat.
Yeah,
it's the largest species of the genus Felis, and they're
well, and like as far as I'm aware, there is a question as to whether or not the Scottish wildcat is extinct or not, because there has been a lot of interbreeding with domestic cats. So there's the question as to whether whether or not all we have is hybrids.
Yeah, and there's I don't know if you've heard of the Kellis cat or not, but that's it's something I'll be talking about soon on Cryptic Corner, so I'll leave that for another time. But it's tied into the Scottish wildcat. But let's see what else we got from these abolitionists.
Oh, okay. So here's one that I shared with you guys a couple hours before we went on. So
this one.
The inaugural International Predation Abolition Conference, IPAC, in Brighton, East Sussex, England, summer 2025. Details to be determined. Who's coming?
Well, like I said, I couldn't find anything on this.
And like I said, inaugural, and it's a year and a half out. How likely are there going to be findable details? So it's a question as to whether or not these guys actually have enough numbers to actually
do a conference.
Yeah, to actually do a conference, or is this a crack? Or is this a crack dream?
Yeah, I mean, is it? Because you wouldn't think that like something like Flat Earth, right, would have a huge following that it does. They have huge conferences with tens of thousands of people showing up, right? It's bizarre. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few hundred of these
Well, I mean,
these guys.
I mean, you could say like what Flat Earth is to like geology. These guys are to ecology. This is the ecological equivalent of Flat Earth. And if any of these nutters get this far in this, in this stream or in the mirrored version, you can totally at me. See if you can get past my troll wards, because I am like invulnerable to trolls. It's crazy.
Yeah, please come at me. Actually, I really want you to. I want you to engage with me about this, because there's a lot to unwrap here, and it really is.
Yeah.
It really has. Engaging with you guys really has been comparable, and I'm not trying to be disparaging to either group and by comparing it to the other, but has been comparable to dealing with flat earthers or young Earth creationists. It's very there's a lot of similarities.
As a general rule, I don't block people. So
Yeah.
Purple says 6 people meeting at the county library does not make a conference. I like comparing them to young earthers. At least young earth creationists have the apparent humility to set to center their, or to take their homocentrism and say it's because of another being. These guys just say humans are arbitrarily best suited to dictate the entirety of the natural world, even though so a system that evolved naturally over a million years works better than one that humans fuck around with for a few decades.
Right, because we've done so well with everything else that we've industrialized.
Yeah.
We're doing so good at it. We might as well just do it. We just go lean in, right? Let's lean in and alter everything. We should give these people a planet. Be like, here's your seeds, here's your herbivores. Go see what you can do and see how long they last without a balanced ecosystem.
And that's another thing. Even if they were actually able to accomplish this kind of goal, they would have to keep doing it over and over and over, because eventually the animals are going to re-evolve into predators.
Yeah, you have to keep culling it back, which it just so you switched it from the animals culling each other to humans artificially culling their numbers and not letting them predate each other, but us driving their numbers down artificially instead. It's not nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
Because nature does abhor a vacuum. If there is an open niche in an environment, something will evolve to fill that niche. Like Bree mentioned, with the red foxes in England being larger than the largest red foxes in the world, because they're working on filling the niche, the wolf niche.
Mm-hmm.
Or like
coyotes,
like coyotes in the eastern U.S. Well, I mean, anywhere in the U.S. where there aren't wolves, coyotes are more boisterous and more like they're not more wolf-like.
They tend to be larger than average.
Basically,
than the coyotes in the West, though. A lot larger.
They're not wolf-like because wolves at least have the smarts to be wary of humans. Like,
yeah, in my area we have a big problem with coy dogs. These are coyotes. These are hybrids with the dogs in stray dogs, and they are not afraid of humans.
Yeah.
Now, that same thing happens where wolves and coyotes overlap too. You get coy wolves. There's actually a problem with the red wolf species, which is a unique species that's indigenous. That's ancient to North America, whereas the rest of the wolves have come much later onto the scene, much later in the Pleistocene. But the red wolves, which are now limited to North Carolina, that's just a small population in a reserve there, and their genetic testing showed that there's none of them left that don't have some kind of coyote DNA in them. So there's no pure red wolves left in the wild.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, in this the invasive species like coyotes is they become very hard for us to get rid of. So how would we manage to do that on a global scale with all predators if we can't even get rid of the invasive species that move in once we get rid of one in predator?
Right. Yeah.
Or the invasive species we either intentionally or accidentally introduce into an ecosystem.
Yeah, I got plenty in my yard with plants I can't get rid of.
Well, there's this isn't, and they act like all this stuff that we throw out when we're arguing with them about this is like hypothetical. It's not. It's based on case studies, right? Ecological surveys. This has been done. Look at Australia has been, unfortunately, the horrendous testing ground for invasive species and the impacts that they have.
Or I mean, look at Florida.
Yeah. With the pythons and monitor lizards and
the lionfish off the coast,
iguanas.
Yeah, we got plenty of iguanas here in Florida because of that. We're since we have Purple in the chat here, she brought up talk how if we could get rid of animals, we would have gotten rid of rats a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Or fleas.
Yeah. So it would be more ethical to sterilize all animals and keep some as pets than it would be to let them suffer in the wild. Good. See, that's why I was being so wishy-washy as to whether or not, what their stance on pets is, because I think it does vary person to person.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't sure what their particular stance was.
Yeah. I don't know maybe they'll hash it out at their conference if they have it.
Yeah. I just looked at this person because I was interested. They're a shamanist and transhumanist, and I'm gonna follow them because they look kooky as hell.
Just follow all the kooks, huh?
I do. Well, I got my show to produce. I gotta have content. That's why I started poking at these people too. Not only are their ideas dangerous, but they're entertainingly dangerous.
Yeah.
I got
which is why this stream has largely been like what I consider a healthy mix of debunking and pointing and laughing.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see all the people that I have in common is that they follow or am followed by. It's just there shouldn't be that much overlap between me and these kooks.
Well, I mean, here's the question: is the overlap people that you follow to to content farm?
Other people I dunk on. Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Not all of them, though. But, that's the internet for you. 6 degrees of separation.
Yep. So, and this one is just, wow. Imagine a Boston Dynamics skeleton encased in lab-grown meat controlled by AI. You stop lions eating real antelope, but let them eat the synthetic antelope. After the lions and scavengers are done, the carcasses, robots, reanimate and walk to the warehouse to get remeated.
Might not be a bad idea for a zoo.
Yeah. I am absolutely into the term of remeated. I want that to be a thing that happens, that robots go in to get remeated so lions can tackle them.
Also, the first, apparently hold on. The first part of this quote seems to have become seems to have briefly been something of a meme among their community, because I saw quite a few retweets of that first bit, with music notes around it and pictures of John Lennon under it.
Oh wow! Imagine, yeah,
Yeah.
we could
Like
imagine a Boston Dynamic skeleton.
Well, like I said, it
encased
doesn't.
in
lab-grown
lab-grown
meat.
meat.
Well, like I said, it doesn't sound like a bad idea for a zoo.
Controlled
You
by
have a robot runs out,
AI.
and have the animal attack. It can do its natural thing, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be cool for them to do something like that in a zoo, or even if it was on
Yeah.
like a zip line, put it on a zip line or something. Let them chase it around.
Yeah, I mean that would probably be like really good for enrichment.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it did for the lions, teaching them some teamwork because lions in zoo lack teamwork and a group discipline.
I'm imagining an aluminum deer skeleton lying under a 3D printer layering meat onto it.
Yeah, that'd be about what,
a meat printer.
yeah, that would be
Yeah.
about what they do.
Yeah.
That would be, yeah.
So weirdly enough, we actually found a good idea that these guys have if you apply it to zoos.
I don't know about aluminum though. That seems like they might hurt their teeth on that.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
aluminum. That thing would
yeah,
probably be
that
busted
was-
up.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
I think
it'd probably have to be like some kind of carbon fiber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like have like a lightweight metal or carbon
could do
fiber under a
resin-based
calcified
skeleton.
shell, so they do still get the the calcium from like gnawing on bone.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, you could like artificial bone wrappings and on it and stuff.
Yeah.
We're like doing. I'm thinking like what Mage was saying about for like a zoo or a wildlife park or something, rehabilitation center for
oh yeah, that like this would be like this would be great for like a wildlife rehabilitation center where they're like getting ready to reintroduce something, reintroduce captive born animals into the wild. And it'd be great for like teaching tigers and lions how to hunt
for their lab grown meat,
or like eat. Yeah, and like I said, or Purple, the robot idea would be good for zoos since it would make the predators have to chase their meat and get exercise.
Yeah,
it would do wonders for enrichment.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is actually accidentally a good idea in certain circumstances. So it took you guys like an hour and 13 minutes, but props.
Yeah, we found something we can agree with.
You get half a point.
Yeah.
And it's just this guy with all the symbols for the name. None of the rest of you all get any points. Well, I guess Herbivorous Predators is up there reposting it. So Herbivorous Predators, you get a point too. You all have to split a point. That's why you get half a point each.
Yeah.
Well, I'm giving them half a point because they're not applying it to what we're applying it to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because
but if they want to fund it, that's fine.
Oh yeah, because you know that the idea for this is to have the lions only eat the robots.
Yeah, but we know we're going to train the lions on the robots so they can hunt in the wild.
Yeah, or or in the case of lions that can't leave, that have to stay in a zoo, use them as enrichment. Andre, I just can't get the thought out of my head of being a lion biting down on an aluminum skeleton like nails on a chalkboard. Oh, why purple?
Oh, yeah, that's probably a thing that would happen. No, I'm not disagreeing.
A synthetic flesh that can regenerate, it would make a better sex doll.
Oh, if I could regenerate, I didn't even think about that. If the meat could regenerate, I thought we had to take it back into the shop and 3D print new meat onto it.
Well,
It doesn't regenerate.
if it's being eaten, yeah, but if it's for a sex doll,
Yeah, you can eat your sex doll though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that,
there
you don't have a vor fetish.
there are certain kinks where where having a regenerating sex doll would be useful.
well, actually, the big problem they have with sex dolls is that the material they use can get torn and stain and all that very easily. So if you had some artificial little flesh that could repair itself, that would be a
And like also presumably something with like the equivalent of an artificial immune system that would keep it keep it from like growing all kinds of nasty bacteria, because
yeah.
you don't want to get
That's another
like
big problem.
you don't want to get a sex doll STD.
You want to? You
Yeah.
got to refrigerate your lab grown meat doll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clean your sex.
Let's-
Yeah, you clean your lab grown meat sex dolls thoroughly.
oh,
Yeah,
let's,
some BDSM people would want a sex doll that can bleed.
yeah.
where
Let's move
have we
on
gone
from
with
this.
this?
Are you confident about the essential ecological role of predators in suppressing herbivore numbers? You might want to look into the Hydra effect. So I did a cursory look into the Hydra effect before I crashed for a few hours today, and from what I can see, like in terms of ecology, the Hydra effect is largely a phenomenon that's like that basically says that prey species flourish when they're being predated on.
Right. I don't understand how the Hydra effects works against or works in favor of his argument, because his argument is actually the opposite of what we see in the Hydra effect. It means that because the remaining population are more vigorous.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Yeah, I think he misunderstands what we're talking about when we're talking about the role of predation to suppress, like when we're to keep overpopulation from happening.
And saying it's essential to maintain an ecology. Yeah. There has to be levels, right? There can't just be two levels. It doesn't work that way. There has the nutrients have to process through the system in order to keep it stable, keep it how it's been. What would happen. That's the thing too. In Australia, again, it's a good example that they don't anticipate what the results could be of a trophic invasion, right?
Yeah. Purple says predators take down diseased animals and limit it spreading to the entire herd.
Yeah,
and as also we've pointed out previously, it's not just about reducing their reproductive, so they overpopulate. There's also a matter of controlling the cycles of them.
Yeah, or once again reiterating the links in the snowshoe hare. The populations mirror each other on a generational cycle.
Right. Yeah. Seasonal, and you can track it, and the populations go up and down depending on how good the year is, and sort of different environmental factors. But we can measure so much about the environment and the biome that they're living in just from tracking those two organisms alone and how they impact everything else around them.
And even the behavioral impacts that predation has on grazers leads to, flourishing ecosystems. I reiterate, Yellowstone, the elk stops, staying in an area until it's grazed dry.
Yeah.
Which
there's
led
the pressure to move. Right.
Yeah, they have the pressure to move, so that led to, the different trees, flourishing, which led
beavers.
to, beavers coming back in, which led to an increase in wetland, which led to waterfowl, fish, and a bunch of other animals,
Otters.
having a rebound in their numbers.
Even the things that you think about when you think about Yellowstone, they benefit from that. The wolves themselves benefit from that. The elk benefit from that. The bear benefit from that.
Yeah.
Having those wetlands in there. It's not just the wetland animals, but everything else that lives tangentially to that wetland is benefiting too.
Yeah.
Because now there's baby birds baby ducks for the deer to eat.
Yep.
Oh, and thinking about the whole pet thing, just kind of go back a little bit. There are certain species that can't survive in captivity, or there are also species that we've tried to domesticate and can't. Like zebras, for example. We've tried domesticating zebras. We can't do it.
Well, there is a theory about why.
Oh?
It's because humans and zebras both evolved in Africa.
Okay, I think I know where you're going with this.
So zebras have an ingrained instinct to fear and hate us as predators.
Yeah, and that's actually an argument that's made about why Africa, and by extension the Indian subcontinent, retained their megafauna too, because those megafauna had evolved alongside humans, so had developed a relationship with us to the detriment of animals that didn't develop in that relationship.
And also why, quote unquote, Africa was less developed because, or if you look at all the domesticated species we have, none of them come from, pretty much all of them come from the old world, but none of them really come from Africa because, everything in Africa evolved alongside us.
Yeah. Screw you, humans. Even the elephants we domesticated are Indian elephants. African elephants have never been domesticated or semi-domesticated. I am hesitant to even call Indian elephants domesticated. They're
questionable.
They're trained and habituated, I guess. But yeah, or maybe even semi-domesticated would be all right.
Yeah.
But but
so last one.
No, God.
Please,
God. Please, no.
No, we need a radical shift away from focusing on biodiversity to focus on animal well-being. Biodiversity is valuable only to the extent it benefits animal well-being. No.
That's pretty far, because like in my gardening thing, you want biodiversity.
That's pretty cringe, actually. Again, this sounds like these are eugenic talking points. The diversity of the human race or the human species is. I mean, you can put the same thing and say diversity among the human species is only valuable to the extent that it benefits well-being. It's like what?
So, or in other words, I apologize if YouTube kills this. 9, God, 9, please, God, 9. We need a radical shift away from focusing on human diversity to focus on human well-being. Human diversity is valuable only to the extent it benefits human well-being. 9.
Exactly.
That fit way too well.
Yes. That this is putting it into perspective for you there, herbivorized predators.
But yeah, and that's the last slide.
Okay.
All right. Well, what a night.
Yeah.
What a wild ride.
So, if for those of you who aren't aware that, predation abolitionists weren't a thing, who weren't aware that predation abolitionists are a thing, now you are. If you happen to be one, here's hoping that you actually learn something while that you managed to stick around a lot enough to like actually learn something.
Maybe we should post this to them after we're done.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, when I repost this, I'm going to tag these guys in it. And
Yeah.
Also, I have 4 invite codes for Blue Sky if anybody needs one.
I've got several as well.
Yeah, I've got 3 or 4. Like I've been kind of racking them up after I got Noodle on. Because obviously I'd give Noodle my first one.
Yeah.
But I am trying to build my my group out there. So if you follow me on Twitter, please follow me on Blue Sky. I'm trying to get away from Twitter.
Yeah.
I've spent but it sucks because I've spent how was my Twitter account? I've spent since 2019, so almost 5 years now, building my presence on Twitter, and now it's gone to shit.
I'm just waiting for Blue Sky to get DMing DM groups.
Yeah. I like hashtags too. If they can pull that off, that'd be nice.
Yeah. But so all of us can be found on both Twitter and Blue Sky. Mage, do you have anything to shill?
Well, I got my gardening channel. Gardens happen, but actually, I wanted to finish up with a little anecdotal story, because if it wasn't for Molly's predatory behavior, I would not have found the little baby bird that got blown out of its nest in the storm and gotten it to a wildlife rescue. It would have gotten eaten by cats. Or just died sitting on the ground because the parents were nowhere to be found.
So there's that.
Yeah. I'm glad that you were able to do that, though, Mage, because that's it's always nice when you can save little creatures.
Yep. So you can thank a predator or behavior for that.
And Bree, I mean, everyone who's watching this probably already knows about you, but might as well shill yourself.
Oh yeah,
out.
Yeah. I am Bree from Hive Sci, and I have a show called Live from the Hive. I do every Saturday morning at 9:30 Central Standard Time, which is 10:30 Eastern Time. And tomorrow I'll give you one spoiler. We're going to be looking at Mr. Batman. So you don't want to miss that. That guy's crazy, and he's been up to some wild stuff in his little hometown, including that comes down to threats of gun violence. So it gets pretty intense. And other than that, you'll have to swoop in and find out. But we got something really weird for you in Cryptic Corner too. So that's nice. Tomorrow morning. And yeah, tonight actually here in half an hour I got my Cryptic Corner episode that's coming up, and that is, which episode are we on? That's Mittens the Michigan Monster. So after you leave here, why don't you pop over there and hang out with me?
Oh, I'm going to be finishing up my rum and getting drunk until I pass out.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm going to be getting much needed sleep because I only got like 4 hours before this.
Yeah. All right.
So, and coming up on my channel, nothing for the rest of this weekend because I'm going to be moving, so I need to, pack and clean my apartment. But next Sunday, Media Musings returns with we're beginning Lit Month because every September is Lit Month in honor of Banned Book Week. And we're kicking it off with a discussion on American Gods by Neil Gaiman.
Sweet. Yeah, I like Neil Gaiman.
Yep. And if there may be, other random videos and streams like this, it all depends on, Spoons and schedule.
Neil Gaiman is on Blue Sky too, by
Yes.
the way. So.
Neil Gaiman is very active on Blue Sky.
Yeah. You can depend on Neil to be posting something. Yeah.
So with that, let's move to taglines. Mage, you have a tagline?
I don't really have a tagline.
Bree?
Well, remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time.
And remember, indoctrination is a hell of a drug.